making yogurt. I make mine on the stove top because I can regulate the temperature, and I'm still relatively new to making yogurt in a way. At this house I have not successfully made yogurt because this stove I'm not used to, and it scorched my last batch. And the first batch, I don't know what happened. I think I didn't let the first batch cool enough. You have to keep it at 180, get it up to 180 degrees, and then keep it there for about 20 to 30 minutes. I usually do 30. So in about 25 minutes, this will be ready to take off the heat. I did have it go over 180, so I took it off of the heat just for a few minutes and stirred it to let some of that heat escape. And I turned my stove down way low. It's at 2.4 right now. Mine is a weird stove. It's a convection oven, and this stovetop is interesting. So actually I think I'll do a video on it just to show you what I'm talking about, but I've never had one of these before. So it's kind of creeping up a little around the 180 190 range, 185. So as long as you can kind of maintain it in above 180, I try not to let it go above that 200 mark. That's why I took it off for a minute. So I'm gonna keep it, and once you hit that 180, you really want to keep stirring it like you're seeing me do here, because it will scorch in a matter of seconds and your whole batch is ruined. Even while you're stirring, you can scorch it. And that's what happened last time, is my stove gets way too hot, and I'm learning. So I'm trying to stir to let some of that heat escape, and then that way it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan and burn. All that's in here right now is a half a gallon of milk. That is it. That's all you're doing. Half a gallon of milk, reach 180. This is a candy thermometer. It's what works for me. It's what I have. 180. Hold it for 20 to 30 minutes at 180. Stirring consistently. You want to stir before it even gets to that 180, but it's really, really, really crucial to stir this consistently, constantly. You see it's starting to kind of bubble and foam up, so I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit more. So I'm going to go down to 2, which is low on my stove top. But this stove top just gets insanely hot, and it's like really fast. It's kind of ridiculous. So I actually heated it before I put my pan of milk on, pot of milk, and then turned it down once I saw it get like red, and then I started the process, and I'm hoping that helps this time. So far so good. Got about 20 minutes left, a little over 20 minutes left. So once this is all stirred up, then I'll show you the next step. Alright, I have successfully kept it, right now it's just under 180. For the most part, I kept it for the last 25 minutes, right about 180 or just above. It's starting to come down. I turned off the stove top. Got 1 more minute of stirring, and then I'm going to take it off for the last 5 minutes. I'm just going to let it kind of start the cooling process, and then just keep stirring it on and off, since it won't actually be on the heat. You want to make sure you still stir it though. It will develop a film on top. Just stir that in. Try not to let it get that way, but if it does, it's not a big deal. You'll know if it's scorched by when you stir it. If chunks start coming out of the bottom, they're like a brown or like a yellow chunk. That's pretty much means you scorched it and it's done. You're not going to save it. So at this point though, we're good to take it off the heat. It's starting to come down a little. It's at about I'd say 170 right now. So now what I want to do is take it off the heat. Last 5 minutes is fine, no big deal. You want it to cool to 108. So I'm going to have to clean off my thermometer a little bit to be able to see it, but because the frost gets built up. I do slide this around a little bit here and there because it'll build up behind there and scorch that. But you want it to get down to 108, and then you can add your live culture in there. So I am still going to use this packet is what I've been using. I didn't keep any of my frozen starter that from when we moved because I didn't want to transport it. So I'm going to use this. These are still good until December of this year. And then I'm going to take some from here out of this batch, let it cool, and then I'll freeze that as my next starter base. But I do have a few of these left. I got these from Amazon. They've worked really well for me, 10 pack. And I still have, let's see, 1 packet is all you need for half a gallon. That's my, I can't even get it open. Not one-handed. That's my, like ratio, I guess. So, we don't eat crazy amounts of yogurt like that, but we are getting back into eating smoothies, and this is good for smoothies. So, I'm going to let this cool to 108, and then I'll be back. Now that it has cooled, we're going to take 1 packet and sprinkle it in there. I know that you're supposed to take some out and put it in there, and then stir it in there, and then put it back, like the milk, but I don't do that. And this has worked for me. And then you stir that in really good. You want it to still be warm while it's going to be stirred in and activate the starter. So now this is the starter culture, whatever you want to call it, going in. Stir it really well. Now here's where I'm going to divide some out to cool and put in the freezer for later. So, usually grab just a little container. I use a ladle. And I get a generous amount just to make sure there's some cultures in there. Hopefully it doesn't drip all over my counter and stove. And then we just put it in there. And that's it for that. So I'm going to let that cool, and that's going to go in the freezer. That is my starter base for the next time. Okay. Now what we're going to do with this is I'm going to add a little bit of sugar and vanilla. Usually you're not supposed to do it until the cooking process is done, but you all should know by now, I do them in mini jars. So there's no way I'm doing that. So let me grab my sugar and vanilla. Now this step is totally optional. If you like plain Greek yogurt, do not do this. We like our yogurt to be a little sweeter, so I'm doing just under a half a cup of sugar in there. And then a good splash of vanilla. Oops, I'm splattering. About that much, I don't know, probably a tablespoon or so. Whatever, however. Stir that in really good. The sugar should dissolve because it's still warm. And now we're ready to get it into the incubator. So I'm going to bring this over to that counter and we'll do that. Alright, so here's my jars. They are glass. They are 180 milliliters each. There's, what, 8 of them? 2, 4, yeah, 8 of them. They go into here. You can see the little slots for them. They have lids that go on them. So you're going to fill these. Give it a little bit of space, basically to the 180th, just under right about there. And then you're going to wipe the rims and then seal them with the lids and pop them in here. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so all 8 of them are filled and in the incubator, whatever you want to call this. It's called an incubator, but lid goes on. I did put some water in there. Yeah, that is optional. We have found it works better with water because it evenly heats all of them. Because before we were finding, first couple of times we did it, some were good and some were not. So in the directions it actually says that's safe to do. You can do that, but it's optional. So we put about that much water in there. I don't know. Then I do not like it super thick. I do not like Greek yogurt. So I only do the, we're going to do 108. So you hit that and you hit start on there. And then, oops, start, hello. And then it's 8 hours. So 8 hours is the recommended. I just made sure actually. So you hit start again. Temp, time. Now they're both good to go. And that's it. So we will see this in 8 hours. And then you will refrigerate for 12 hours. So I start this process in the morning. It is 10:30 in the morning. So then I'll take it out this evening, put these little jars into the fridge, individual jars, and then they will go to sleep for the night. And then by morning, they will be ready to eat. So that's it. That's all. This is the method I use, and it takes a lot of time and patience, but it's what I know works for us. So hope that helps.